All right. We're live. Hey guys, welcome to the Search and Seizure show. My name is Anthony Bandiero. I'm with my friend is Mike Boone. Let me give you a quick introduction for those who do not know us. I'm an attorney and senior legal instructor for Blue to Gold law enforcement training. I like to say this is what I do for a living. I have the honor and the privilege to train cops all around the nation in search and seizure. I do have a dream job.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty nice, right? So I used to be a cop like you, and obviously I love law enforcement. That's why I love what I'm doing here. But after I left law enforcement, retired early, I went to law school really to just do this. When I was there, I was looking at these other people that were there, a lot of young guys, right? And they're thinking, oh, I'm about to do that hustle. I'm about to like do a law firm and stuff like that. I'm like, I got my dream job. I'm gonna be out there teaching cops search and seizure. Mike, why don't you give a quick introduction for those who do not know you?
My name is Mike Boone. I also have a dream job working with you
full time.
Soon.
Yeah.
I also have a day gig. Full-time police officer for coming up on 21 years now. And currently teach at one of our academies where I get to teach search and seizure.
Yeah, I definitely consider you a search and seizure expert. And the thing is, like, look, you're not a lawyer.
No.
But the one thing
I play one on TV.
You do play one on TV, and you actually you probably do have a SAG card with a face like that. You know what I mean? I have a face for radio, I have a face for TV. But
we work well together.
We do work well together. So the one thing about you, Mike, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up the booty, but the thing is, like, you really get search and seizure. And I think that a lot of cops try to get search and seizure and they need to get search and seizure, but it's a natural fit for you. But the other thing is, one thing that gives you a competitive advantage over attorneys is that you've done the job.
Done the job. Yeah. Quite a while.
Yeah.
It's some pretty fun stuff.
That's right. So look, let's get down to business. For those who are new here, the way we work this show is that we're just having a conversation. We have some questions that cops have asked us from around the nation, on email.
It is Gerald.
Yep. What was he saying?
He's asking if it's I don't know how to say it. Michters?
Yeah. It's awesome. We do have a sip of whiskey. I did have one of our viewers though said that you hold your glass in a very feminine manner.
Oh yeah.
You'd like to have your pinky out.
Oh.
But I think they might be talking about me because I'm a pinky out kind of guy. I think it's more bougie and it feels more expensive.
You're pretty high society.
I'm trying to be as more and more. Okay. All right. So let's get hey Rick, let's get Brooks on. And Brooks, you're gonna be on deck. All right. And I can't read all this stuff. One thing we're gonna have to and Joe's gonna follow Brooks. One thing we have to do is, unfortunately, it's the screen that we're looking at is. Can you read that easily?
From a distance, I'm okay. If you put it near me, I won't be able to see it at all.
I'm the opposite.
Again, there we go. We're good together.
Yeah, and Brooks, as Rick is getting you on deck here for the microphone, please also let us know what state you work in, so we have some maybe some relevant case law.
Sounds good.
All right.
Vincent's got some Jack Daniels. All right.
Nice. Jack Daniels is good.
Yeah. A little honey. Okay.
You like that honey stuff?
It's all right. A little sweet sometimes, but gives a little flair to it.
Look, I don't mind the sweet stuff. It actually is easy, neat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How are we looking there, Rick? We getting Brooks on? All right.
Angel's Envy. I don't know that one.
Yeah. I mean,
that's right. Last week we were working on getting the blue to gold flasks together. I think Sean was working on that.
Tilled glass. That actually might be kind of good, actually. All right.
Right. We get those. Do we? Yeah. A blue to gold flask.
Actually, then we actually spoke about that, by the way.
We kind of, we took a side trip last week while you were on the airplane, John and I, and we came up with blue to gold flasks, maybe even blue to gold whiskey.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think Brooks is live.
Hey, Brooks, what you got, my friend?
All right. So can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
All right. Hold on, Brooks. We have a sound issue because we don't have a union worker behind the mixing board right here. So,
right, Gerald? Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, we good?
You could bring it to work and drink out of your blue to gold flask while you're on the job.
All right, Brooks, try again.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, awesome. So I'm in North Charleston, South Carolina. And I emailed you, I think, earlier in the week, and says, "Are you aware of any case law supporting no need for Miranda if an interview is via telephone?" So it would help me support my understanding of Miranda to explain to my supervisor. My understanding of Miranda is the suspect has to be in custody or believed they're in custody. I was challenged by someone who has more stripes than me about this in reference to question a suspect about a crime over the phone. I was told the suspect's statement would be tossed because I did not advise Miranda, and I disagree.
Yeah. Okay. So, real quick, first of all, just so we know that the person was not in jail, right? They're at their house or whatever, in their car or whatever it was,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes,
Hey,
sir, they were in a hotel room.
Okay. Hey, Rick, if you have a second, do you know where can you grab my computer real quick? It's downstairs. All right. So, I actually have some case law on this issue. Hopefully I'm going to find it in time. Brooks, if you stick with us, right, while we answer your question, and we might move on to some other questions, I think I can actually pull up a case for you. But I want to let my friend Mike start this answer. What do you think about that, Mike? And let's talk about a little bit about why Miranda and when Miranda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Miranda was kind of Ernesto, right? Ernesto Miranda.
Yep.
Yeah, down in Arizona there. It was kind of developed to prevent us, the cops, were kind of creating a coercive environment, and an environment where we might be so overbearing on a person that they feel like they might have to confess.
Look, and I got to tell you, okay, I think that by the way, Gerald says that I'm the alpha twin because he thinks I'm bossing you around. We're twins, and we're identical twins, and so we're very close. But anyway, I digress. So the thing is, can I just say something to you? I think that you are naturally coercive, and I mean that. I think that as a police officer, I think that if you came to my home, I think that if you stopped me for a traffic violation, and I'm talking about, this is Anthony, the lawyer here, law enforcement attorney, and I'm very comfortable around police officers. They don't scare me like some people say, right? However, I got to tell you, you are naturally coercive. You have the badge and
the gun, the uniform.
That's right.
Car,
And
everything.
Yeah. And if I mess up and I am, I can go to prison for, and also I don't know all the laws, right? Maybe I am violating the law, and I don't want you, So I think that Miranda, I don't agree with Miranda completely. I don't think that we need to read people their rights like that. But that's not I'm not a Supreme Court justice. But there's something to be said about that. So continue on.
Well, it's funny. You kind of bring up a point about being, it is coercive. Maybe there's some nervousness that comes with that. I worked undercover for a long time. I drove a minivan around for a long time, and
a
lot
with a mullet.
a lot of surveillance ops where I would get pulled over by people I work with, but I would still be kind of nervous.
Oh, that's so funny.
Up, I'm at work in my work car doing surveillance, but there's still a little bit of that. Like I said, that coercive environment. So that's kind of where
that's awesome.
The birth of Miranda came from. Is they wanted to take away that naturally coercive environment, but sometimes we used to bring out the phone book and
even more accelerated environment to get people to confess.
That's right. And if you don't know what the phone book means, for those cops that are a little newer to the profession,
should we cover what a phone book is?
Yeah, actually, that's funny you mentioned.
There are some young officers out there. Believe it or not, there used to be a book show up on your porch once in a while that had everybody's phone number in it. It was crazy.
So the phone book method was basically hitting people with phone books, and it would disperse the injury so that you wouldn't leave marks, right?
Right.
But that's the reality is that even if you're not using the phone book, it's a natural course environment. So that's why Miranda, we want to level the playing field, right? Tell me when Miranda.
So when Miranda, and this is something that I was taught, and there's a lot more that comes to it than I think originally known. So there's three components that come with it here. The biggest is the custodial aspect. And what we talk about here is arrest like custody. It's not just that, are they free to go or not? And that's something that when we teach Miranda, it's something that we really key on. It is arrest like custody. So that's prong number one. Second is going to be that kind of that immediate interrogation. We're going to ask them some questions designed to elicit an incriminating response, testimonial type evidence that can be used against them. And third, which a lot of you all might not know, is known officer. You got to know they're talking to a cop.
And actually, that's funny you talk about that because, in your situation when you were undercover, they were not in custody. But you were a cop, but they didn't know you were a cop.
Correct.
Now, move that person into a jail. They got arrested, let's say for murder, okay? And there's I want an attorney. They clam up. Could you send in, and Brooks, we're going to get to your question here, but I just want to establish the foundation because the show is a podcast. We're trying to educate our cops about what the law is. If you had a guy who allegedly committed murder and he wants an attorney, he's booked into jail, Could you send an undercover cop as a jail cellmate to try to say, hey, what are you in for?
Well, then you're missing that known
Officer
officer
thing.
component of that, right?
And guys, the reason why that works in most states,
Most, yeah, there's, yeah.
there are some exceptions, but the reason why the Supreme Court has not prohibited that is because there is no natural coerciveness. And understand to know, in other words, to know why that is, you have to know why Miranda. Miranda is trying to level the playing field of little old me versus big bad you with the government behind you. And that's why. Now, let's get to the question at hand. Brooks says that, you know, he has somebody who's saying that we need Miranda for a phone interview.
And I like the question that you asked, Brooks. Where is he? You know, is you know, at jail or whatever it could be. But as far as we know, he's at home, right, Brooks? Or wherever he hangs out.
I don't know if I'm still recording, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So not arrest like custody.
So that's the problem there, Brooks. Does he know you're a police officer? Yes. Are you asking incriminating questions?
Yeah.
100%. Did you commit this crime? Let's just give it, you know, that as a given. Is he in arrest like custody as he's on the phone with you?
No.
I got to tell you that I actually think that here's the case right here. I actually think it's very silly, okay, to read a person. Miranda, yeah, now he's all concerned about his loose finger. Brooks, I got to tell you, okay, I laugh. I actually laugh at cops who read Miranda over the phone to a person who is at home. It's so silly because they're not, it's the opposite of Miranda custody. And I think that's where you're going. Now, if they're in jail, that might be a different story, right?
Correct.
Okay. So
I won't, Gerald.
all right. So here is your case. It's not South Carolina, but you don't need South Carolina. It's a case based on the Fifth Amendment, which is South Carolina. Okay. A detective might want to mute that, Rick. While we're into some feedback. A detective called the defendant and asked him whether he was involved in an auto burglary. The defendant made several incriminating statements that were used against him. It's a phone case, right? Miranda was not in custody. Here's what the court said. And I'm sorry, Mahoney was not in custody. Mr. Mahoney spoke with the detective on the telephone, not at a police headquarters. He was not in custody, nor was he in a situation inherently coercive. He could have simply hung up and terminated the conversation. Miranda doesn't apply. State versus Mahoney, 80, Washington Appeals Court, 495, 1996. Okay. So Washington versus Mahoney, Mahoney. Citation is 80, Wash App. That's Washington Appeals Court, page 495. 1996. There's a great case. And let me tell you something, Brooks. If Washington State says we don't have a problem, then South Carolina definitely doesn't have a problem because they're the most restrictive state in the union. Is that okay? Back to turn your mic back on, Rick. Brooks, does that answer your question fully?
And I think we have a way to put that on there somehow, Vincent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. This will also be posted. This is posted to YouTube too. So look, I got to tell you something. This is not about making anybody wrong. This is not about, hey, I'm the smartest guy in the room. This is about education. Brooks, I just want to let you know, like, I was a 3-striper before, okay? I was a sergeant. I have made so many mistakes, right? But that's why we're here. We're all here to learn. So it comes from nothing but love. But in this situation, the answer is very straightforward. No Miranda is necessary, nor should it be read, in my personal opinion. There's no reason for it.
Clam up on you.
They'll clam up on you. They'll say, you know what? Actually, since you said that, I don't want to talk to you. Why would you even introduce that variable? All right. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Who's hey, Rick, why don't you, are we good, Rick? Why don't we get Gerald on deck, queued in, okay, waiting on in the holding pattern. Let's answer a question.
All right.
Okay, Mike, we have a question from a cop from LA Sheriff's Department, okay?
Okay.
Can you just put the volume down on your end, Rick? So, yeah, talk about the A-type personality, huh? Man, I'm just like bossing the hell out of him today, huh?
Right.
Hey, Rick, go make me some meatloaf.
Say it. Rick,
Rick,
more meatloaf.
more meatloaf. I don't know what he does up there. I really don't. I know what he does.
I don't know.
So my name, okay, I'm actually not gonna say his name. So I'm a sheriff's deputy with, LASD. First, he says, I would like to, know how much I appreciate the information you provide on YouTube. Thank you on behalf of all of my partners.
That's awesome.
Now to my question. He's like a guy that's like, thank you, but let's answer my damn question.
Butter me up a little bit.
He butters me up a little bit.
Then get right
He's
to
like,
it.
yeah, come on, you're wasting my time over here. So he says, all right, if hotel management reports a current hotel guest has booked a room with a stolen credit card and wants the guest to vacate the room and leave the property, can we enter the room without having to worry about getting keys to the room and so forth? Or do we have to obtain a warrant? So can you please share any case law on this issue, which I do have, by the way.
Okay, good.
Okay. But so let's talk about the first thing. Okay. First of all, this whole, I don't know about the hotel saying leave your property. I think it seems to me the hotel has this mentality of, since you robbed us, basically, not robbed us, but since you stole from
Defrauded us.
you defrauded us, we want your property as like
collateral.
What is this?
Let me get your tweaker bag.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, this is some like tweaker hotel. Like, hey, I'm going to sell your stuff on eBay if you don't pay me my $49 a night. Okay, so let's start with the first thing. Does a person have a reasonable expectation of privacy in a hotel room that's been purchased with a fraudulent credit card?
So by fraudulent means, they are obtaining those services from there. I think that's debatable on whether or not they've got a legitimate, we talk about society.
Well, tell our viewers there's a case called Cats.
Cats, yeah.
And Cats is a two-part test.
Two-part test.
Tell our viewers, in order to answer this question, there's a two-part test. What is that two-part test?
So when we talk about this two-part test, we talk about what would the suspect, or it came from Cats, but what would the suspect, what would their mindset be? What would they be subjectively?
Would they reasonably expect privacy?
Yeah, would they reasonably expect privacy? And it comes from that phone booth case where the guy took extreme measures to protect his voice from being heard from the outside.
Okay.
And so when you rent, when you rent a room, a legit, you have an expectation of privacy and they're free from government intrusion. However, the flip side of that now is when you start looking at from someone other than that subject, the outside, the society, the world looking back here, kind of an objective point of view on this here. Would society also consider that to be reasonable? Would they think the same thing? Would they allow it to take place? And you got to have both. Okay, you got to have that subjective thought. I expect reasonable privacy and objective from the other side.
I love it. So let's answer the first question. Should a person who uses a stolen credit card to pay for the Motel 6 room expect privacy?
No.
Would society, even if he did expect privacy for whatever I don't think he does,
right?
But would society even recognize as reasonable?
No.
So there's your answer. Okay. Now I have a twist.
Okay.
Let's see this. No sweat. Who is that?
Gerald.
Is that Gerald? Okay.
Yeah.
Gerald. Hey, Gerald, before we want to get you on the show, would you want to be like one of our like virtual guests? We can put you like in a little corner, that'd be kind of fun. I think, and actually I open this door for a lot of other people who could be like, hey, this is a cop let's give the cop, let's give Gerald an opportunity to answer. Now we know Gerald well enough that he's going to say the wrong answer, but we still love you. You violate a lot of rights out there, Gerald, but we wouldn't be in business if it wasn't for you. All right. If you got the answer right, we wouldn't be in business. You know what I mean? No, that's calling Gerald out. Like, Gerald's like, true story. I love this guy. All right. So I got the case. Okay. So my officer that's going to watch this in California, your case is United States versus Cunag. It's CUNAG. The citation is 386 F3D 888, 9th Circuit, 2004. Now, I want you to know that for those people who do not understand case citations, that's fine. You may see these things, but I want you to know what they kind of mean, because I think it's good to just give people some explanation of what they're kind of hearing. When we say the citation is 386, that means volume 386. So if you go to a law school, at this point, there's at least 386 volumes. So you go to the 386 volume, they're all numbered.
And they still print.
They still print them. Yep, that's the requirement by law, because not everybody has an internet. Well, I guess. So F3D is federal third. That means they're on the third set of these books. That means there's at least two other sets of 386 volumes. And then 888 is what?
The page number.
Page number.
Yeah.
So you go into the law school, and you grab that 386 volume of F3D, you turn it to page 888, and what are you going to find?
There it is.
United States versus Kunag. They said that defendant who procured a hotel room through fraud by registering under a false name and using a dead woman's credit card. That's just rude, but she don't care.
That's rude. Well, yeah, probably not.
She don't give a she don't care. And providing admittedly forged authorization and identification documents was not a lawful occupant of the hotel room. Nice job.
There you go, huh?
And thus did not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in the room protected by the Fourth Amendment after the hotel management took justifiable affirmative steps to repossess the room upon discovering defendant's fraud. Now, I do have a little twist, the Ninth Circuit twist.
Mm.
The Ninth Circuit, based on this case, wants notice first.
To the
To the-
so-called occupant.
To the so-called occupant. So
Hmm.
that may not be true in other circuits, but they at least want you to tell that person, hey, you got to get out of here.
Mhm.
Okay. And so forth. So that is the answer. I'm not saying that's required in every circuit, but it wouldn't be good practice. We shouldn't just be barging into, it kind of rubs some judges wrong. Just, hey, you're out of here. You're fraudulently, if you're going to be arrested or whatever, you're fraudulently got this room, get out of here. And give them a reasonable amount of time to grab their stuff. And that's one thing I wanted to share with you is that just because they purchased or acquired the room with fraud does not mean that they lose their reasonable expectation of privacy as to
Their belongings.
their belongings, their backpack, their purse,
Mhm.
their tweaker kit. All right. So Gerald, are you up on deck? Rick, producer, are we good?
He's coming.
All right, let's get Gerald on deck. My favorite. He's becoming my new
Look at that,
favorite.
he wants one of these.
I think I am dying for one of those to hang in my office. That'd be awesome. I
Well,
hope you guys can hear me.
aren't you back? What, the sign or the gun? The picture of the
Yeah,
gun?
right.
Well,
yeah.
I'll take the gun, but I need one of those posters. I don't know where to buy a blue to gold poster.
Actually, wouldn't that be cool? That'd be some hardcore followers. You get the oil painting. That's like a
It's
put the oil painting.
2 of 200, right?
Yeah, it's two at 200. We only
two-
have 199 left, so you got to act fast.
Mhm.
I only need
Aren't
one.
you? Yeah, aren't you back east? Where are you back east?
I am in Maryland. I am, all the way out in Maryland on the East Coast.
All right, you know that it's illegal in Maryland to even act like you want one of these. You know that, right?
Yeah. I feel like I
Maryland-
have to block my screen because you're showing it to me
Right.
in Maryland.
Avert your eyes.
I mean, this is a podcast, so we have some, we have creative license to share little stories. So I'm in, where are we at, Rick? No, I'm in Las Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas at the FOP conference, okay? And we decide to give away an AR-15, okay? So we raffle it off. We have hundreds of people want the AR-15, and this guy wins it. And he comes up and I say, hey, all right, cool, man. You won this AR-15, compliments of blue to gold, right? Where are you from? He says, Maryland. I said, fuck.
Yep. He's not
God.
getting
I said, man, I came in, I could probably have you arrested right now for even wanting this damn thing. So he has an FFL.
Like, how about a nice poster instead?
How about a poster of an AR? And look, and so he calls his friend who's an FFL, and the guy's like, look, it has to have a heavy barrel, it has to, and I'm like, dude, I'm not in this thing for 2 G's, okay? It's Palmetto State Armory, take your damn cheap gun, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, get the hell out of here. So the guy ends up saying, and he's a great guy, what a great cop, right? But he says, hey, look, I can't get the AR-15, it's too much work. How about a handgun? And so we look on they have a roster approved for handguns too.
Yeah.
And we sent him a Smith & Wesson shield.
Oh, ooh,
You know,
nice. I like
It's
that.
a nice, actually,
Yeah.
isn't you carry a
Mhm.
shield? So anyway, that's my story about the AR-15 giveaway at the FOP conference. So your damn anti-gun, your strict laws. So Gerald, what is your question, my friend?
Yeah, well, they're not in my laws, number one. I want to just real quick,
True.
I might know the answer to this already, but I want you two professionals to verify for me.
Okay.
Going back to the DUI webinar we just did, I know at a DUI checkpoint in Maryland, we can require every car to stop, but they don't have to put their windows down. What is the legality of having a narcotics detecting canine at these DUI checkpoints?
Good to go. Good to go. So Maryland does not have Maryland follows the Fourth Amendment when it comes to canine sniffs. Okay, so that's the case is Illinois versus Caballes, 2004, maybe 5. But the Supreme Court said there is no search that occurs if a dog runs around the car. The only issue, not the only issue, but the main issue, my friend, that I'm going to see is if you have any evidence that that checkpoint was set up for what? Drug detection. Like you're doing it because you're not really interested in the DUIs. You're interested in narcotics. And how we get there is this. We have testimony from cops who are like, yeah, my sergeants or lieutenant, for example, my lieutenant says we're going to do a DUI checkpoint, but we're going to put it in a high narcotics area. And then we're also going to have the dog out there. You see what's going on there? It's going to introduce a general criminal checkpoint for general criminal activity, but that's the issue. However, if you have a legit DUI checkpoint, it's in the right spots, it's for the right reasons. The courts believe it was, under SITs, which is you have, a compelling interest, a government interest that this area is known for, DUIs, or we had a really heinous DUI crash, last week, whatever it is. And just the fact that the drug dog is out there, I don't think it tips the scales.
I think, keep it moving, and if
Yeah.
the dog is just out there working.
It's gonna be that subterfuge or the pretext stuff. I think you'll be okay though, as long as it's not for that reason. Does that help?
That does help very much.
Man, you're the man. I really appreciate you coming on here and asking your question. You're awesome.
Yeah, hey, you guys are awesomer. How about that? It's a Maryland word there, awesomer.
Well, we were talking earlier about how much we appreciate you all,
Yeah.
our fan base. You guys are fun to hang out with.
Now, I mean, I'm just wondering, look, we're gonna get 1 million views eventually when people really appreciate this, the Fourth Amendment as much as I do. Until then, we appreciate your viewership.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you again.
Good chat with
All
you,
right.
Gerald.
All right.
The short answer, Danny, is no. U.S. versus Rodriguez.
I can't see it, but is that extend and stop?
Mhm.
Yeah, we can't, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. If they produce their license, if they are not inebriated and they appear, cognizant and so forth, they're answering the questions, you're like, yeah, this guy's not inebriated. Get them out of there. Do not hold that guy up to do a sniff. That is
Reread the questions.
okay. Make sure you tell the questions. Yeah, come on, Mike.
Well, I'll just.
Yeah, don't.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We can't
Come on, what is
see
this?
Danny's.
Who's this amateur hour?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So, all right, let's go with this one. Oh man, okay. So this one's from Minnesota. Okay,
Sorta.
Minnesota, don't you know? So officers respond to an intersection for a single motor vehicle crash. Upon arrival, the officers observed a vehicle to be empty, unoccupied, right?
Okay.
So the officers located a female near the crash site sitting on a sidewalk. Her pants were down to her ankles, and she appeared to have urinated herself. You ever see 4-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes.
Remember he was like doing the peripheral vision? He was like looking for the drunk chicks.
Oh.
Like, but he said like, and then like he picked out a girl that was like passed out, and the guy said too drunk.
Too drunk.
Too drunk.
Yeah, well, sounds like she's got that going.
Officers also observed a possible head injury. So now this is obviously going to be at least, this is probable cause that this is our driver, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
come on.
lot of indicators.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably above reasonable suspicion here. So, upon looking into the vehicle from the outside, the officers observed burnt tinfoil containing white residue and what appeared to be a meth pipe. All right, this story's getting good.
Okay.
The female had her purse next to her that she would periodically grab and hold close to her. I can picture this, right?
Okay.
The EMS arrived on the scene. They transported her. The officers believed that the driver to be under the influence of a controlled substance because of all these factors, right?
Mhm.
And they applied for a search warrant for blood. However, the officers also searched her purse and found a small amount of powdery substance, and it tested positive for cocaine. Are we good?
That's an interesting kind of fact pattern there, huh? So when we look at this here, yeah, like you kind of touched on what we're talking about was that, PC, that she was the driver, she was the one in the vehicle.
That's right.
I think even with what's going on here, vicinity, immediacy of it, it's kind of all happening right now.
That's right.
So
That's
I don't
right.
think there's a question with that. So when we start talking about now her searching her purse, that she appeared to have a very strong privacy interest in there, right? My stuff here, because she knew what's going on. So I'm gonna ask you a question, because I know we've spoke about this before. How damaged is that vehicle? So my initial thought pattern is kind of traveling down the automobile exception.
Okay, so let me tell you okay, so look, as far as getting into that vehicle for the actual cocaine that
But
they
then,
saw in plain
but
view.
then drawing that nexus, was it to believe the person? We never saw the person in the car. Or we're just doing because did they arrest her at the time, or she just went with
Well,
medical?
they're not really saying arrest. They're saying
Yeah,
that she's been transported. So here's the deal. Okay, so look, he's not asking about searching the vehicle.
right.
However, since you brought it up,
Mhm.
I will tell you that the motor vehicle exception for blue to gold, we teach 4 things. In order to search a vehicle in a motor vehicle exception, we want probable cause. Check. They see the white powdery substance in plain view and the burnt tinfoil, whatever, or
Right.
the pipe.
Right, no issue.
We want the car cannot be on curtilage. Check. It's on a roadway. The vehicle has to be readily mobile. However, man, Mike, courts bend over backwards on
Because it
these.
clearly was.
It was mobile,
Mhm.
correct, and that's what they're going to probably say.
Right. And if we're talking about the reasonableness of here, that dope was in the car when it was mobile. So even if it's rendered,
yeah.
I think rendered immobile.
They're not
now,
gonna-
the PC
That's right.
wasn't seen till after, but I think
Yeah,
we're in line with that.
I have seen a case out of Georgia, and I do like Georgia case law. They actually, I agree with a lot of it, but they did say a vehicle that was found during a crash that was totaled, and then they developed the PC after the crash that they didn't like the motor vehicle exception.
But the component to that was the PC was developed
After. Well, this is developed after.
Yes, but
They
I think
didn't
there was
know-
an argument compelling that it was before too. We didn't see it until after. However,
But you know that the drugs. Okay,
yeah,
okay, I like that.
That's
So
kind of-
I'll take that.
yeah,
I'll take
yeah,
that.
all right.
So that changed the facts, changed the answer, and then you search it as if you had a warrant. So getting into the vehicle, I think, look, if I was on scene today, 2023, if I was a sergeant, I would say search the car.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is, can we get into the purse?
No, I'm gonna go on kind of the same thing I'm thinking here. I'm still putting that purse in the car at the time with her as part of a container in that car. You think I'm way off?
Yeah, you're way off. I mean, that's not way off. That's strong language, but
Where was it before?
It was likely in the car.
Okay.
But I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that usually when it comes to these container cases, it's the fact that the container was associated with the vehicle at the time of the probable cause. It's
So
not.
meaning if someone's like, I'm in it, you see it, you develop your probable cause, and they get out of the car with it, you're like, no,
it's staying.
that stays.
And I've seen cases where the cops allow people to like take their property with them. They develop the probable cause for the car. Now they want to get into the purse, and I don't. That's a little dirty. Just But look, I actually have a cleaner solution for this.
Okay,
you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Search intent to arrest. So I'm not saying it's going to work, but I'm saying it's our best chance here because at the time of the search, did they have probable cause to arrest her?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a fair probability she possessed cocaine while driving. So why not?
And the DUI component or
That's right.
Influence of alcohol.
Oh,
or drugs, one or two.
absolutely.
So either
that's
or
either
both.
one, right?
Yeah.
So why not just call it the court, at least, right? Objectively, why not just call it a search intent to arrest, and that's how you get into the purse, or inventory, whatever you're gonna.
And that's important because of this, right?
Yes. So some states, and actually this is Minnesota, so this is the 8th Circuit. Yeah, it's 8th Circuit. So they don't actually have a case on point in this. But anyway, some courts are saying, hey, once the purse has been detached from her, it no longer is search and arrest. We have to do like an inventory or whatever. But she is holding on to it, and at the time of the arrest, did they have probable cause to arrest her? They do. So just call it a search and arrest. This is not a clean case, okay? This is not a slam dunk, 2 high fives. It is a little tricky, but I think ultimately it does come in.
I agree.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Rick, do we have anybody that wants to ask a question? Yeah, ask. Hey guys, let's have somebody on deck here. So, Vincent, also Rick, we got to get a mic for you, by the way, because I can't. Sometimes people ask questions I don't see. So Vincent says, what was the 4th part of the motor vehicle exception? So probable cause, not on curtilage, readily mobile or apparently mobile, and Mike does bring up a good point about before the crash, and then search it as if you had a warrant.
Scope thinking. Where can you look?
So if she was still within the car and took it out with her, I would say yes, search the purse. Actually, that'd be the easiest solution because then you had the motor vehicle exception.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, next on deck, I want somebody to ask a question live online. Guys, you got to ask these questions live online. If you're not asking them live online, it just doesn't make it as fun for us.
Yeah,
We
we just
wanna-
got to talk to each other.
I don't want to talk to this guy. I talk to him too much at work. All right. Case from San Diego, California.
like it.
This is in California. An officer is conducting a traffic stop for a traffic violation. The plates are from Mexico and able to get a DMV return from the dispatch. Do you think that's enough to stop a vehicle, by the way? Just because the plates are from out of state or out of the country? Just out of curiosity.
No, I think because now you got some database issues and connectivity, and we
Okay.
may not have that availability.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
yeah.
people, that's right. I
Yeah.
want to make sure people on the same page. Just because I'm not saying this is what the cop did. I'm not
Mhm.
saying at all. That's probably not what he did. But I want to let you know that if you have a plate that is from a connecting border, Mexico and Canada, that is not alone, and you can't run it. That's not a reason alone to stop the vehicle. Otherwise, you're saying to the court, I stop every car from Canada.
Right.
Now, if the car is from Zimbabwe, you can't return it. That might be,
That's a long drive.
that's a long drive to be
Yeah.
here for a tourist. You know what I mean?
right.
All right. So the vehicle doesn't stop right away. This is driving, eventually entering a parking structure. As the vehicle is slowing down, the passenger door opens. And when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, the passenger exits the vehicle and runs away. Well, we have two factors there. Responding officers give chase and locate the driver. Wait. Shit. So both ran away.
Oh.
So a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
So the passenger ran away, but looks like the driver ran away. No evidence was found on the passenger. The vehicle was not stolen. Nothing else was located inside the vehicle. Can officers arrest the passenger for resisting or delaying investigation? PC 148. Okay, for PC 148 is your obstruction statute in
Right.
California. All right, what's the answer?
So, well, yeah,
I know the answer.
yeah,
You want me to tell you the answer?
yeah,
Arrest his ass.
yeah. Yeah.
Passengers are not free to leave a traffic stop in any, well, I shouldn't, I was about to say any state, but that's not true. Oregon and Washington,
It's actually encouraged.
it's encouraged, especially if you have drugs. But California is a Fourth Amendment state. I love California case law because they're actually really, really legit. So in California, in other states, most states, you cannot leave a traffic stop. That's Brennan versus California. That's Arizona versus Johnson. That's Maryland versus Wilson. These are all three U.S. Supreme Court cases that pretty much say that people are not allowed to leave if they've been lawfully seized, right? And traffic stops are more dangerous with passengers. Next, did the passenger create reasonable suspicion as to himself when he ran away?
Headlong flight.
Headlong flight. So that's Illinois versus Wardlow. When I'm not, that high crime area plus flight, but the vehicle is involved in some infraction and you start running away from the traffic stop, that creates reasonable suspicion as to yourself. So you also have that issue. And in California, 148 is obstruction. Are you delaying a lawful investigation? Are you, substantially interfering? Are you physically interfering and so forth? The answer is yes here. This cop cannot do his job. Why has a person running away who can ambush, stealing, taking away the evidence of the we don't know what's right, evidence of potential violations in the car. That's not lawful conduct in California. That's a good arrest in my point.
Oh yeah, for sure. And those cases you hit on, Brennan and Arizona versus Johnson, the Brennan one I think specifically talks about, are passengers seized? Yes.
That's really what the question is.
Yes.
Right.
And
now that's Brennan Brennan is not a can the passengers leave case. Brennan is are they seized case, and it's just a different kind of angle at it.
But I feel
did
like
they
there's a
sue?
confusion at times. Like cops are like, well, are you seized? And I don't know. I feel like sometimes we're a little shy about that.
I think what it is that they're actually, I like that because what
Mhm.
I think in my experience is what they're confused about is seized versus detained.
right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, the passenger is seized,
Not free to go.
not free to go, but are detained. And when we say detained, it implies what?
Some sort of criminal activity or unlawful activity.
That's right. So if my only crime is to drive with you and you're a bad driver, am I detained in a Terry sense? No. But am I free to go? No, because I'm still seized.
Correct.
So that's what I think it's the word choice. Seized, detained, they kind of mean the same thing, but they have different nuances.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully somebody has a question here. The producer will let me know. Until the meantime, let's ask the next question.
All right.
This one you're gonna love.
Okay.
This is a good one.
Where are we going?
All right, we're going to Illinois.
Illinois.
So
I lived in Illinois for a little while.
I'm sorry. So why'd you live in Illinois?
My dad was stationed at Scott Air Force Base in
No.
Troy, Illinois.
What'd your dad do?
He's retired colonel, kind of ran,
Oh, damn.
ran stuff.
Was he Air Force, you said? So does that mean he was a pilot at
He
one time?
wasn't a pilot though.
He wasn't a
He's-
pilot, because I think it's very common for these colonels to be pilots, right?
Mhm, yeah, he was kind of unique in that aspect.
Yeah. Colonels run the Air Force. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, pilots run the Air Force. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so, which makes sense, I guess.
Mhm.
Okay, so and I'm sorry your dad wasn't a pilot, but he still is up here in my eyes,
Didn't
okay?
have the eyesight.
Yeah,
for
it
it,
doesn't-
no.
the eyesight. But he had the height, which is
Uh,
no, actually that's good. That means you have to
oh,
be
the
short.
height. I thought this was another
Yeah,
me joke.
yeah. So
I'm that much taller than
that's all I am. That's awesome. Well, look, your dad is awesome. That's awesome. A colonel is pretty awesome.
him.
I wish I had a dad. So that's awesome. So I'm
Okay.
glad you had a dad. So I digress. So look at this question. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So this cop stops does the traffic stop. All occupants of the vehicle were under 21. Okay, but over 18,
Okay.
or I should say over 17 adults.
Oh.
So
Oh, yes.
Right, not
the-
19, right?
The math.
yeah, the math, right? In plain view, I love this case.
Okay.
In plain view, officers observe tobacco products.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. It is illegal for 18 to 20-year-olds to have tobacco in Illinois. Thank you, Governor Spritz, or whatever your name, for being my father, okay, and teaching me what to put in my mouth. That sounds kind of weird. So possession of tobacco is a petty offense due to the age. Can the officers search the vehicle and the occupants for more tobacco? All right, Vincent, you're up on deck. So, oh my God, do you see how funny this is?
Yeah. I mean,
This is a Marlboro case, man.
right?
Where these guys are adults. Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
but okay,
Per statute, they
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, I don't smoke tobacco. I don't
Uh-huh.
like it. I don't do any drugs. I'm anti-drug. I get that. You know, but at the same time, I believe in freedom.
Mhm.
In Nevada, I do not know the answer to this. Okay, in Nevada, can 19-year-olds purchase tobacco?
I should be able to tell you that.
Oh my
but
God.
I should be able to tell you that, but I
Okay,
don't deal with it. I haven't
Okay,
dealt with
Rick,
it in 20 something years as a cop.
Google this real quick. Okay,
To go get
Get outta
to go
here.
get smokes.
it's 21 to get smokes.
I feel like I should know, but I really not something I
Oh, wait, Kevin says it's a federal statute.
really.
Oh my
Well, I mean,
God. Guys, I'm sorry. Okay. For everybody, that's what Kevin's saying. I'm sorry, but I disagree. I'm not, it doesn't matter what my opinion is, right? But I'm saying, this goes against every grain of my body. It's a legal. Oh God.
in Nevada or
Everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Really?
But it could be everywhere, but the
Mhm.
feds, they hit you with money.
They hit you with money.
Yeah.
So 24. Look, I was 21. Look, I'm sorry. I just don't like this one. It's not like it's alcohol, which that one I can kind of see, but it's a cigarette. And the thing is, I hate smoking.
But yeah.
I mean, I hate smoking, but you are old enough to go die for your country, but you can't have a Marlboro? Give me a break, man.
And then you can have your constitutional protections of your car invaded for some smokes.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So,
Yeah,
by the way, I had to phone a friend on this one.
Uh-huh.
I had to phone a friend from Illinois. His name is Josh. He's a really good dude. We talk a lot. I learn from him. He learns from me. And I had to reach out to him. I said, because I didn't know this. Okay, I don't smoke, so I don't know what the law is. What do you think the law?
I'm curious if you tear it down, like all the
Yeah,
way to
tear
the
it down.
bare, if you tear it down to the bare bones, it's against the law
Yes,
and it's evidence. There's probable cause for evidence in the car.
that's correct.
Yeah.
So Josh really helped me understand this. And he says, Anthony, I get, look, I'm a libertarian. So you don't care. My politics don't come in. Okay. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
However, I understand like freedom and stuff like, but at the end of the day, you're correct. Is it, a law? Is it a law? Is it violating the law?
Mhm.
And there you go. And he
Mhm.
says, Anthony, I have searched
Mhm.
cars for
Probable
tobacco.
cause of evidence inside that car.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
now
mhm.
he says, what's funny, he says, look, you know, he's a smart dude. Okay. He's not necessarily, you know, tossing every car because they have a vape pen or something like that. Right.
Right.
But, you know, now what about the people? Can you search the people?
Not automatically.
Not
no,
automatically,
no.
but smoking and cigarettes on your
Still
person.
got to draw that nexus.
Yeah.
You smell like smoke.
You smell like menthols.
Uh-huh.
All right. So there's your answer. Vincent, you're on deck.
Hey,
Kinda
how you guys
weird.
doing? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
my friend. What's
Vincent,
up,
you
brother?
got a great name. It's my middle name.
Why, thank you.
What's about you, man? Is it always about Mike over here?
Vincent and I are talking.
I mean, Jesus Christ. It's about you, Vincent, not Mike. Go ahead.
So this is kind of
Complimenting our
referencing this is kind of referencing the class that we just had with DUI checkpoint. During a checkpoint, are all passengers required to provide identification when requested? And this is also out of New York.
I love it. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
So there is no, and the reason why, and New York is obviously going to be a state where, you know, they have a lot of intrusions. I mean, they do, you know, they lean on law enforcement. You know, there's a lot of things. I caution that, but there's certain stuff, but absolutely not. Constitutionally, this is prohibited because the passengers are not part of the DUI checkpoint. There is no legal issue there. They're not driving the vehicle. We also know from several cases around the country where cops have demanded ID from a passenger with no other reason than, hey, I just want to ID you because you're part of my stop. And the courts have said no, and many courts have said no qualified immunity. An example of that is a case called Landeros out of the Ninth Circuit. Yeah, it's a Ninth Circuit case. You are in the Second Circuit. So it's persuasive, not binding, but I can assure you there's no way at all that flies. No way.
Can I change the facts?
Please.
We've got open container laws, and this is me in your passenger seat.
Yeah. Game on,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you've been smoking and drinking at the same time. You're probably gonna go to federal prison in New York.
Apparently, especially if you're under 21.
So Vincent, does that answer the question? I mean, basically, it's a great question, but we cannot compel ID from those passengers. Now, Vincent, if you want to ask those people for their ID, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, right? Hey, during the DUI checkpoint, hey driver, can I see your license? I think we can compel that. I do agree with that. And also passengers, can I see your ID? And they hand it over. I think that's fine. What do you think, Vincent?
A lot of states compel that driver possession and surrender on demand statute.
As long as the stop is lawful.
Yes. Yeah.
That answers my question perfectly. Yeah. And how you mostly said as a suggestion, hey, you guys mind showing me your ID? It works nicely.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, can I just ask you before you leave, my friend? Are you?
No problem.
Do you have a situation where you've actually seen where cops are demanding ID?
Not at this time. I'm only 2 years on the job so far, but it's doing a lot of training and a lot more traffic stops. So just in case we do a checkpoint such as this, I'd rather have this kind of information.
All right. So just so you know, too, I had I was familiar with a case where a cop stopped a van, and there was some, you know, gang affiliation basically of a passenger,
Yeah.
which is not reasonable suspicion of crime because it's not illegal to be part of a gang. It's illegal to be a criminal and to do things. So, and then that's an enhancement, right? But the reason I bring that case up is because the officer told this person, a passenger, right, hand him up, or to hand it up. But there's more people in the car. Hand them up, and he was referring to the passengers. And he basically, what's that mean? Like your ID, right? And the guy handed over his ID, and he was not wanted. He was not, you know, a fugitive and so forth. And the cop let him go. He turned around and found a lawyer. He sued, and he got approximately $300,000 from that agency.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because the court found it was blatantly unlawful to demand an ID from a passenger, and no qualified immunity because it's clearly established. So anyway, just remind your partners out there that asking a passenger's ID is fine. Demanding is another thing. If the passenger says no, what should you do? Move on.
Move on.
Man, you've been great, Vincent. I really appreciate you coming
What part of New York?
I'm over in I cover multiple counties. I'm with the MTA police. So
Nice.
we cover like 5 counties so far. But I'm a little bit upstate.
Nice,
Very
man.
nice.
Well, good.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you, my friend. All right. So let's do, unless anybody has one more question, online, right? Because they take, let's do one more, and I think we're gonna call it a day.
Alrighty.
You know, I've been teaching actually all day. This is, I'm not complaining. I love my job.
You do.
But I think we've been for an hour, 2 hours total with the webinar and so forth. So the last question is a cop he's a Nevada Department of Wildlife cop.
Okay.
And so you're kind of neck of the woods, right? Nevada.
Yeah. Beautiful state up north.
Sure. And
Oh, was that too close to home?
I don't know.
Home.
Look, I do like Reno. But Elko, you said is, hey, look, actually, it's pretty. It is pretty.
I'm talking.
But I mean, look, we're going off tangent here, but I now live in Washington State, which I hate their politics. I love the beauty.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hey, Rick, have you been up to Washington? Have you seen up there? Pretty nice, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe someday I'll get invited to go up there.
Probably not. Okay, not with your attitude. So, okay, the cop wants to talk about open fields pertain to wildlife enforcement.
Okay.
Okay. So he says, hey, I know that some states, Oregon, Washington, Montana, have state level decisions that prevent their officers from enforcing wildlife law through administrative checks on posted private lands. And just to kind of break here. So what they're saying is that unless you have reasonable suspicion of hunting crimes, you can't go onto open fields and inspect.
Okay.
So are you aware of any cases in Nevada that would prevent a Nevada game warden from entering privately owned land to perform administrative checks on people engaged in hunting, fishing, or trapping?
I don't know of any, kind of like you were saying here, that there's specific statutes in those states. I don't know of one here in Nevada, unless you do. But if we're talking about open fields, then I say they're fine in doing so.
Yeah, I agree. So here's the deal. It's one of these issues, we don't want to be hopping fences and, we should have a reason to believe the hunting activity or trapping is going on in the property. We don't want to be pissing off our citizens. But the problem is this, there needs to be this balance between the government interest in protecting wildlife, but wildlife actually is not, okay, so if a person owns 500 acres and there are 50 deer, right, on the property, who owns it? They do?
Oh, wait, the deer?
Yeah, deer.
Well, they're free to do what they want.
No. Who owns the deer? The people of Nevada or the person who owns the lands?
I truly don't know.
Okay, I know the answer. What's the answer for my online people?
That's a good question. I don't know.
500 acre property. Did I say 50 deer? There's
50 deer.
There's 50 deer on the property. Who owns that deer?
Guess the state, because you have to get it tagged to shoot
The
them.
people or the person who owns the property? The person or the state?
Because you got to get a tag to shoot them, so maybe the state owns them. That's my guess.
Okay. That's the actually answer. So Rick and Joseph actually have the answer.
State.
Danny says because the state says so.
Is that why they can approve you going out there and getting them?
Yeah. So it's actually a natural resource, right? It's the same thing by gold, silver. We're in the silver state, right? So mines and so forth. And I guess the point is that fish, game, and mining are actually owned by the people of Nevada. Did you know that?
No.
Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So therefore, is there a compelling government interest to make sure that a person that the government property, the people's property,
right,
make sure that they're not abusing it?
Absolutely.
There it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, and because of that, the game warden can go onto the land to make sure that there's not violations of state law, because ultimately it's not their property. Okay. If they shoot a deer without a tag, that is actually a crime against the people. And how do you, if you don't give these game wardens the ability and the authority to go onto the property to make sure, how do you ever catch them?
You wouldn't.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So, all right.
Yeah, we got Josh up next.
All right, Josh, you're the last caller, and then we're going to call it a day, my friends.
All right, sounds good. How you guys doing?
Good. Where are you from, my
Good,
friend?
you.
Just outside Chicago.
All right.
All right, nice. Let's do it. Hey, if I hear some gunshots in the background, I know it's up.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So we get called to, so somebody calls us saying they see 2 or 3 people trying to break into a house. And prior to police arrival, they see the 3 running away from the house. Police get there, they find an open front door. They go inside to check the house, clear the house, and it appears to be a stash house. So there's no signs of anybody actually living inside, but they find some evidence of narcotics, narcotic sales, and a couple cell phones. Are we able to continue that search for contraband and evidence, or because it's a house, do we have to back out and get a search warrant to continue searching?
All right, let's make sure we got some facts. I have a few more questions before we answer. Okay, so you're saying, so ultimately, did these people break into the house?
It appears so.
It appears so, but ultimately, is that their house or no?
We don't know. There was no one on scene when we got there. It appeared to be the house was empty when we got there. No signs of anybody living inside of it. So the people that were seen running away from the house, we're not sure if they lived there or if they were trying to break in.
All right. Well, look, I got your answer. I like Mike, my esteemed guest, to take a stab. You want to take a stab at this first, or you have any?
Well, all right. So so there's some unsure things there. I think so. We're talking about the entry into going in there.
Yeah, look, actually, let's break it up. Let's look at entry, and then we'll talk about the search.
Right. So I guess if we're looking at this as an actual burglary, if we've got evidence that there was entry made, you got people fleeing the scene. I think we've got a good entry on emergency.
I agree. I absolutely
somebody
agree.
in there that could be.
I absolutely agree.
Just got burglarized, home invasion, whatever.
Well, and Mike, before I didn't mean to cut you off, but make sure that look, the person calling is probably a neighbor. They know what's up with their neighborhood. They know this house has probably been abandoned, and now there's people going, trying to squat. So that's trustworthy. That's the emergency exception. It's objectively reasonable belief, right? Okay, keep going.
So yeah, as far as that entry, I'm good with that. Now we're talking about, now we see evidence inside this home. Yeah. Well, there could, again, I don't know how quick we're into this here, but there could be somebody that has an expectation of privacy in that home.
There it is.
Maybe somebody lives there, they just don't like cleaning.
There it is. Actually, there's your answer.
Yeah. So
okay, so actually, Josh, that's your answer. So here's so number one, the entry is likely lawful. Okay, and all that plain view evidence is good to go.
Got it.
But you will get burned. Okay, you will get burned if you're wrong on whether or not ultimately they actually have an expectation of privacy there. And here's why. Getting into the house is one issue, right? The courts are going to look at, was it objectively reasonable that there was an emergency, right? And it looks like there's an act of burglary in this house. However, if you're wrong and you are searching this house, and it is a stash house, and they rent it, they pay money. By definition, a stash house is a stash house. It's not. They don't want to live there. Right. And if the person charged has either A, is the person who rents the house, or B, has what I call unfettered access. Yeah. I call that the Kramer rule. Remember Kramer and Seinfeld? He just goes in whenever he wants. If they have unfettered access, they have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And it's not like you can go to court and say, well, Your Honor, I didn't know about that expectation of privacy. I didn't know this guy existed. It doesn't matter. He goes to court and says, but I still had expectation of privacy. You're in my house searching without a warrant.
His rights were violated.
His rights survive.
Interesting. Actually, right down the street here, big stash house, like tons of dope in this house. We hit it with a warrant. So we knew that there was, people accessing it here, but when we hit it and went in it, not a piece of furniture, nothing in the house, all the dope in the attic.
How much dope?
Pounds.
I mean, I remember my days, I was getting grams. I was never a really good big dope guy, by the way.
I had fun.
Yeah, I just don't. It's not about me, but I don't know about a lot about dope. It's a skill set.
I like getting the money.
And the thing is, I don't have also facial hair, so I can't be cool like you. Did you have a beard?
I had a beard last week.
Exactly.
Yeah, where's Sean? Sean was complimenting me last week on my beard.
Oh, on the Searching Seizure show. Oh, because right, that wasn't there for that. All right, so Josh, does that answer your question? He's probably gone. But the main thing is,
thank you.
You're welcome, Josh. And also at the end of the day, when in doubt, get a warrant.
There you go.
All right, Rick, the producer. Anything else before we leave? All right. So, Mike,
my friend,
thank you so much for joining me on another Search and Seizure show. Guys, you've been great. I really love the fact that every week it seems we get more and more people on the phone, Mike. And that's actually what the show is always about.
I like it.
Our time is, we love doing this for you guys, but when you actually interact and you ask questions, it makes it more fun for us. That's all we have. We have a class for next week. Do you have the webinar for next week? I'll look it up. You're welcome, Mama Bandiero.
Mhm.
So next week is how to teach search and seizure. Ooh. That'd be kind of fun.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, so you know something about that. All right, how to teach search and seizure, and we'll probably do another search and seizure show right after. Even though I might be on the East Coast, we'll talk about that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, thank you so much. Have a nice night. And if you have any search and seizure questions, before you guys leave, Rick, do me a favor, type into the chat box. If you have any search and seizure questions, you want us to answer your questions, go to bluetogold.com/show and ask your questions. All right. All right. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Keep doing the great work you're doing. Spread the word about Blue to Gold. We really are trying to help cops learn search and seizure and so forth. Thank you to our guest, Mike. His time is valuable. He's taking time away from his family to be here. And he says, it's my pleasure to take away time from his family. Wait till his wife hears about that. All right, guys.
Good seeing y'all.
All right. Thank you.